Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, there was no evidence whatsoever that Alicia Andrews killed Charles Jones. No evidence whatsoever that Alicia Andrews wanted Charles Jones dead. No evidence whatsoever that Alicia Andrews did anything to help that group of men kill Charles Jones. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you're not just here to deliver a verdict. You are here to right a wrong. And so are we. There are a few things that you should keep in mind throughout this trial. 1, on the weekend Charles Jones was killed, Alicia Andrews was on a weekend trip with her boyfriend with only one agenda: to be with her boyfriend. 2, Alicia Andrews is not in a gang. 3, with the exception of her boyfriend, Alicia Andrews did not know any of those men in that group, and none of those men in that group knew Alicia Andrews. As a matter of fact, if there was some conspiracy, Alicia Andrews was not in the loop because she was not in the group. 4, Alicia Andrews is not a part of the drill rap culture, nor the drill rap scene. 5, Alicia Andrews did not have any physical evidence on any weapon displayed by the state. You would not find DNA, fingerprints, no physical evidence whatsoever linking Alicia Andrews to this case. 6, Alicia Andrews did not have a motive. In other words, there is no evidence whatsoever to support this case of conspiracy or first-degree murder against Alicia Andrews. I'm sure you're wondering, if there's no evidence against Alicia Andrews, then why are we here? We're here because of the perception of the facts of one man, Detective Juan Ramos. But ladies and gentlemen of the jury, perception is not reality. Detective Juan Ramos is the lead detective on this case. Let me tell you a bit about him. Detective Juan Ramos had only worked homicide for about 4 months when he got this case. Became a homicide detective in February. This murder happened in June. His first time as a lead detective on the case, and he lands perhaps one of the biggest homicide cases that the Tampa Police Department has seen in a while. Not by any merit, not by something he did to deserve it, simply luck of the draw. The Tampa Police Department handles 40 to 60 homicides a year, and they put their detectives in rotation. And so, luck of the draw, Detective Ramos gets this case. He shows up to the scene, speaks to a couple of his fellow officers, and begins to talk to witnesses, gathers some information about evidence and what have you, but his first big break in the case came when he got some intel from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office advised him that perhaps a man named Rashad Murphy and a man named Isaiah Chance might have something to do with this homicide. His second big break came when he ran a bullet through, and I say a bullet, the ATF gathered 30 of the 31 bullets left. He had one bullet, luck of the draw. Ran this one bullet through their system that kind of, and it's a shell casing, not a bullet, a shell casing. It has a fingerprint, once the firing pin strikes the casing, it leaves like a fingerprint, a distinct marking. And he gets a hit that alerts him to the fact that there were other fingerprints matching 5 shootings in Jacksonville prior. So now he has the idea that the shooters might have come from Jacksonville. After that, he proceeds to gather intel like information from license plate readers. Then he starts looking at cell phone data records. Then he uses that information to piece some other things together that leads him to a few spots in town. An Airbnb, a McDonald's, a strip club called Teasers, and a club called Truth 18. And you saw some of the video footage. When Detective Ramos first gets this Airbnb video, he sees Alicia Andrews at the front door and surmises that because he sees no one else go in, Alicia Andrews must have let them in the back door. But perception is not reality. He sees Alicia Andrews at the McDonald's with no mask, and then sees her at the club, in the parking lot of the club Teasers with the mask, and surmises that she must have had the mask on to cover her face at Teasers because she didn't have a mask on at McDonald's. But perception is not reality. Again, he sees Alicia Andrews with her boyfriend at Club Truth 18 walking with the mask on, surmising once again because she didn't have a mask on at McDonald's, but did have a mask on as she walked towards the club. She attempted to conceal her identity with that mask at Truth 18. Ladies and gentlemen, perception is not reality. It's just some human decision. Reality, however, is immovable. And we're going to talk about Alicia's reality in just a moment when I tell you what really happened. But with all of this intelligence, all of this assumption, all of this surmise, Detective Juan Ramos goes and gets Alicia Andrews and brings her into an interrogation room. And he begins to present to her what he calls evidence and tell her what his perception of the evidence is, as if it is reality. Well, it's simply not. What really happened in this case is Alicia Andrews was on a weekend trip with her boyfriend, ex-boyfriend. But before we talk about the trip, let me tell you a little bit about Alicia. Alicia, high school graduate, did really well in school, well enough to apply to college and get accepted at Bethune-Cookman University.
Judge, can we approach?
Yes, come on up.
Alicia's reality. High school graduate, good student. Applied to and was accepted to Bethune-Cookman University, right there in Daytona, not too far from home. But chose not to go, to stay close to home, and instead went to tech school, become an esthetician, does hair, not hair, but eyelashes, makeup, nails, skincare, that kind of thing. She was a substitute teacher whom parents trusted with their children, even children who had some special needs and disabilities. This was Alicia. While in school, Alicia Andrews. The state reminded me that I have to use her first and last name.
Objection, improper.
Yeah, I'm going to sustain the objection. So that's the general rule in court, last names only, okay, for everybody. All right, thank you, Mr. Malcom.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Alicia Andrews, while in school, befriended the sister of Isaiah Chance. They ran in the same social circles in high school, and through that process, Isaiah Chance became familiar with her, and she with him. And he reached out to her via direct message, and they developed a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. And, I mean, you know, Isaiah Chance, tall, slender, handsome fella, captivating, charismatic. Alicia liked him. He liked her. So she thought. She would learn through their tumultuous, on-again, off-again relationship that perception is not always reality, and Isaiah Chance just really wasn't the guy she thought he was. You heard about the tattoos, sure. Young lady, liking a boy in high school who, to her, was just a rapper. Not a gangster, not some street code name. Gutter was Isaiah's rap name. So Alicia Andrews got her boyfriend's rap name tattooed on her. A tattoo that she wasn't supposed to have, just like the relationship with Isaiah Chance. But it happened. As time moves on, Alicia Andrews learns that not only is Isaiah Chance more than not nice, sometimes he could be threatening, controlling. Sometimes she'd have to suffer serious consequences if she upset him. She learned that in the most serious ways. So, fast forward to 2023, Alicia Andrews and Isaiah Chance on again, off again, on again, off again. Now, could be that Alicia's pregnant. This is during that on-again, off-again time period. They decide to take this trip. There's a big fight, a lot of fuss, right before, and there's this makeup time. Isaiah says, hey, let's go to Atlanta. She didn't want to go that far away from home. Then he says, let's go to Tampa.
Your Honor, I'd object and ask to approach.
Okay, what's the legal basis for the objection?
Lack of good faith basis to make this statement, and you said
Come on up.
So Tampa it is. Isaiah doesn't follow this young lady on Instagram. I'm not sure if you know how the Instagram thing works with direct messages, but when you DM somebody, if you're not a follower, direct message someone, if you're not a follower, the message just sits in the request, kind of waiting for the person to approve the message you intend to send. So Isaiah Chance doesn't follow this woman who does half-offs for Airbnbs and asks Miss Andrews to reach out to the woman whom Miss Andrews does follow and ask her to see if she can hook up an Airbnb for the weekend. Miss Andrews does. Gets on a Instagram and says, hey, half-offs, asks for availability in response. She says, or asks for time in response, and she says, let's do it this weekend. She says, how many rooms? She says 2. Now, there's some assumption on Detective Ramos' side that because Alicia Andrews asked for 2 rooms for this romantic getaway, as he claims it to be, was some indication that she intended for this other group of guys to come to the Airbnb with them. In reality, Miss Andrews and Isaiah Chance were kind of on the outs. Didn't know if they were going to be on the in or the outs. So they got 2 rooms, bigger, more comfortable, some space for this trip that was to be a trip of reckoning and maybe reconciliation. Ultimately, though, Alicia Andrews and the friend or follower does not book the Airbnb. Somebody else does. Alicia Andrews did not know that somebody else books the Airbnb. She was out of the loop. Nonetheless, Airbnb booked on the way to Tampa. Isaiah Chance, and you saw the video, before he picks up Alicia Andrews, stops by Sean Gaithwright's house, where he packs up all of these bags. Alicia Andrews never sees what goes into the Impala. She's not a part of that packing process, not in the loop. Isaiah Chance goes and then picks up Miss Andrews, brings her back to where they pack the bags, and then they head down to Tampa. Miss Andrews believes that they're about to hit the road, come straight from Jacksonville to Tampa, but they make a stop at this gas station. As Alicia Andrews sees her boyfriend get out and dap up some people and what have you, and the next thing you know, they're on the road again. Now, mind you, Sean Gaithwright's in the driver's seat. Isaiah Chance is in the front passenger seat, and Alicia Andrews is in the back seat, on her phone, TikToking, FaceTiming, or whatever it is they do on a road trip. Once arriving in Tampa, get to the Airbnb, just her, Isaiah Chance, Sean Gaithwright. While the 2 men in front get out of the car, Miss Andrews is in the back still on her phone. The gentlemen get out of the car, go inside the Airbnb. Miss Andrews then later gets out the car a few minutes after, goes to the front door. You saw it in the video, knocks on the door, and waits for someone to let her in. Now, when Detective Juan Ramos sees the video of Miss Andrews at the door, he perceives that Miss Andrews must have been the one who let the people who let her in the Airbnb because they don't see anybody else go in before her. Not the case. And the evidence will show you that. Alicia Andrews knocked on the door for the first time ever, approaching the Airbnb for the first time ever, let in by someone who was already in the Airbnb. She did not walk in the Airbnb and unlock the back door to let people come in to avoid being captured by the Ring camera. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. Once inside the Airbnb, Ms. Andrews goes upstairs, takes the laundry off the bed, the linen off the bed, puts it in the washing machine downstairs, and goes back upstairs. And so she's washing the bed linen and upstairs on her TikTok, on her phone, TikToking or whatever it is, talking to her sister via text message and talking to Mr. Chance's mother about how to operate the washing machine. And so she's upstairs the entire time before they leave to go to McDonald's. Alicia Andrews does not know who's coming in and out downstairs, doesn't know that there's a Rashad Murphy coming by, a Davion Murphy showing up, no clue. When it's time to go to McDonald's, though, she finds out. When it's time to go to McDonald's, she comes downstairs, and Mr. Chance gives her the keys and says, hey, go get in the car. And of course she does. She goes and gets in the passenger seat of the silver Cruise that you saw in the video, expecting that Mr. Chance would join her in the driver's seat and take her to get food. However, that's not what happens. Mr. Davion Murphy, big guy, listed at about 5'9", 215 pounds, burly looking fella, a little gruff, comes outside and makes Mr. Chance get in the back seat, and he hops in the front seat, and he drives the Cruise to the McDonald's. And you see Davion Murphy in the driver's seat, Alicia Andrews in the passenger seat, and Isaiah Chance is in the back. Now, in the interrogation room, Detective Ramos tells Alicia Andrews that she must not be wearing a mask at the clubs to conceal, she must be wearing the masks at the club to conceal her identity, because she's not wearing a mask at the McDonald's. But the reality is, Alicia Andrews thought that it was just going to be her and her boyfriend. No reason to wear the health mask, the medical mask then. She didn't know that Davion Murphy was going to bum rush the ride and take control of the driver's seat, let alone did she expect Isaiah Chance to let him do so. So she's caught without her mask unexpectedly. Davion's in the video, you see him smoking and puffing, and Alicia wants to say something, but she can't, because she's afraid to say something to this guy who just bogarted the Cruise, made her man get in the back seat, and took over. She won't say anything. Not because she was trying to hide herself. She didn't say anything because she was scared. Not because she wanted the guy to smoke in her face, because she was scared. They get back to the Airbnb, and a few hours later, they head out again. Go to Club Teasers. Now they're in the Cruise again, and Isaiah Chance is driving. Now the state asserts that because Isaiah Chance is driving and Alicia Andrews is right next to him while Isaiah Chance is on her phone, Alicia must have heard everything Isaiah said. They got that from Juan Ramos. But that's a bad assumption, because there's...
Objection to that comment, Your Honor. Is it proper?
Anyway, again, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this are just the opening statements. The attorneys are telling you what they believe the evidence will be. That's all that it is, their belief. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's a bad assumption, because there's no way of knowing. Although the cell phone data shows that that line was open and there was communication between the two phones, there's no way of knowing whether Isaiah Chance was the talker or the listener. And even if Isaiah Chance was the talker, there's no way to know whether he was using explicit language that Alicia Andrews could understand. So, when in the interrogation room, Detective Ramos asks Alicia Andrews what Isaiah Chance was saying, and she says, "I don't know." It was the truth. She didn't know. And there is no evidence whatsoever to the contrary. When they get to the club and they get out, Detective Ramos assumes that Alicia Andrews allows Isaiah Chance to use her phone. That's not the case. When Isaiah Chance says, "Give me the phone," she knows it's in her best interest to give him the phone. And so she does. Isaiah Chance uses Miss Andrews' phone all the time, whenever he wants. Nothing new, nothing strange whatsoever to Miss Andrews. "Give me your phone, here's the phone." So he asks for the code to unlock the phone, and Miss Andrews gives him the code to unlock the phone. Nothing new, nothing strange, nothing suspicious about this at all. And you see them walking, and conspicuously you'll note that though there's an assertion that all the defendants in this murder conspired together, coordinated together, one stands out. When you see them in the video at Truth 18 and teasers, you see that Isaiah Chance is dressed in all black, face covered with the health mask, hoodie on. You see Alicia Andrews not dressed in all black, mask on, face completely exposed. When you see the video of the shooters at the hotel, all dressed in black, from head to toe, Rashad Murphy and Sean Gaithright. Everybody's coordinated, dressed in black, covered from head to toe. Isaiah Chance, Rashad Murphy, Davion Murphy, Sean Gaithright. All of them except Alicia. She wasn't in the loop. Then they walk up to the club. You see them go out of camera, then go back to the car, and they leave. Now, the state says that everywhere they went, they were following Charles Jones. As a matter of fact, the state even said Alicia was driving. Said that twice. Alicia Andrews doesn't even have a driver's license. Doesn't even know how to drive. Never drove. Was never in control of the situation. She was a passenger in a car. Her boyfriend drove, in her mind, to get some food and to go to a few clubs in Tampa. She had one agenda, to be with her boyfriend. No mission to do anything to Mr. Charles Jones. Be with the boyfriend. But the state says, and Detective Ramos said it too, that Alicia Andrews, if she wasn't a part of the conspiracy, should have stayed in the car. Could have stayed in the car. But at the same time, the state tells you that Mr. Jones died in the car, caged. He was a sitting duck in a car. So of course, when Isaiah Chance gets out of the car, in the middle of the night, Alicia Andrews knows better than to just stay in the car. She came with her boyfriend, intends to be with her boyfriend, gets out with her boyfriend, and walks to the club with her boyfriend. She didn't stay in the car like a sitting duck, because bad things can happen to you when you sit in the car in the parking lot. That's it. That's all. No evidence whatsoever suggesting that Alicia Andrews was on some surveillance mission. As a matter of fact, there's no indication that Isaiah Chance needed her help to survey anything. When walking, you'll see Alicia Andrews is farthest away from the club. Both clubs. No indication whatsoever that Alicia Andrews was on some kind of surveillance team, surveillance mission. She wasn't even dressed like the rest of the alleged conspirators. Alicia Andrews tells Detective Ramos this, but he says, "No, what are you doing there? You must be stalking. You must be surveying." And she tells him that that's just not the case. I'm with my boyfriend. She says it over and over again, "I'm just with my boyfriend." As a matter of fact, in that interrogation room, every time Detective Ramos asks her questions about herself, she's forthcoming and truthful. He tells her she has the right to remain silent. She doesn't exercise that right. She tells him exactly what he wants to know when he asks her questions about her. For example, in the interview, Detective Ramos asks, "Is that you in the car?" Without hesitation. She says, "Yeah, that's me." Another truthful statement. "Do you know the guy who drove you to McDonald's?" No, she doesn't know him. Just showed up at the Airbnb that night. "You guys went to some clubs?" "Yeah." "Couldn't get in though." And the reason why they didn't go in is because they didn't like the price. They asked the bouncer how much, didn't like the price, didn't go in. "Do you remember the clubs that you went to?" "Not really." "Is that you and Zay?" As they walk through the parking lot. Isaiah, they call him Zay. "Is that you and Zay?" "Yeah." "Is he using your phone?" "Yeah." "Who was he talking to on the phone?" "I don't know." "At the McDonald's, was Isaiah in the back seat?" "Yeah." Every time Detective Ramos asks Miss Andrews a question, she's honest, forthcoming, not trying to hide anything. It's just the truth. However, Detective Ramos doesn't like the truth. He gets upset, starts yelling at Alicia, starts cussing at Alicia, starts telling Alicia that she's going to die in jail, starts telling Alicia that her parents are going to die and she'll never get to see them, tell Alicia Andrews that she'll never be able to see her baby again, all because his perception doesn't fit her reality, and he won't let her reality change his perception. But the reality is Alicia Andrews had one agenda, and this group had an entirely different agenda. You'll see. You'll see that there was no instance in time where Alicia Andrews did anything to contribute to this conspiracy. As the state spoke to you, it spoke quite a while. Never once did they say that Alicia Andrews did anything like touch a gun, touch an extended clip, touch a brass catcher. None of that. You won't find any physical evidence, no DNA, no fingerprints. You think that being a part of this big conspiracy, at least one time, ex-boyfriend or somebody in the group said, hey, hold this gun. Hey, give me that magazine. Hey, what about the brass catcher? Not one time. No physical evidence, no DNA supporting any assertion that Alicia Andrews had anything to do with this conspiracy. It's almost as if Alicia Andrews was not necessary for the trip. Plain as day. It's true. These guys did not need Alicia Andrews to commit murder. No. Alicia Andrews did not know these guys intended to commit murder. No. No evidence whatsoever. Except for Alicia Andrews came to Tampa to be with her boyfriend. The group, all of them in the group, made their phones go ghost, except Alicia Andrews. All of them wore all black attire. Not Alicia Andrews. If the state's right, all of them went in the back door of the Airbnb. Not Alicia Andrews. All of them brought guns to the party, except Alicia Andrews. It was Alicia Andrews the entire time who had one agenda and one alone, that to be with her boyfriend, never in a group of guys who conspired to kill Charles Jones if the state is right. I want you to stay focused throughout this trial. While the state spoke, it talked a lot about Rashad Murphy, Davion Murphy, Isaiah Chance, Seth Gaithright, or Sean Gaithright, whichever one. But the styling of this case is the state of Florida versus Alicia Andrews. Stay focused. And you will see, ladies and gentlemen, that there is not one single shred of evidence that supports the state's claim that Alicia Andrews conspired to kill Charles Jones, let alone did anything to further such conspiracy. You'll listen to the evidence in this case, and you'll look for it. You'll look for it. You'll look to see the action that Alicia took to further this conspiracy. You'll hear the evidence in this case, and you'll look for it. You'll look to see evidence that Alicia Andrews knew something about this conspiracy to kill Charles Jones. But you won't see it. What you will learn is that Alicia Andrews had absolutely no knowledge that these four boys conspired to kill Charles Jones. And the reason she had no knowledge is because she was not in that group. She was never in the loop because she was never in the group. Despite all of the evidence, all of the technology, cell phone records, license plate readers, DNA catchers, fingerprints, agencies like JSO, Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, Gwinnett County Police, Tampa Police Department, ATF, all of these agencies, all of this technology, none of it will render one shred of evidence to prove that case. It's kind of like what Isaac Asimov said when he said that the saddest aspect of life right now is that science gathers knowledge faster than society gathers wisdom. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, listen to the evidence in this case. Be the wisdom, right the wrong, and render the only verdict that the facts and the law in this case supports. that Alicia Andrews, not only beyond a reasonable doubt, is not guilty. Alicia Andrews is innocent. Alicia Andrews is innocent. Alicia Andrews is innocent. And render a verdict of not guilty.